Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Becoming Anchored podcast. My name is Laura Deneen. I'm one of your hosts. I am actually so thrilled to share with you all that Lauren Jackson is back with me for today's episode. She is one of our co-hosts, and she actually is the dreamer behind this podcast. And so I'm really excited to welcome her back to the show. Wonderful news. She is expecting a baby girl, and she's taken some months off from recording with me just to care for herself, and she's got quite a few other responsibilities in our practice. And so I'm just super thankful to have her and glad to have her today. If you're new to the show, welcome, welcome. We really are about two things on this podcast. First and foremost, Lauren and I really try to be vulnerable on this show and share about some of the pain and suffering that we have been through as human beings with you all. And then secondly, we love to share about our clinical experiences. So we have the wonderful privilege of sitting with clients on a daily basis, and we truly cherish that work. If you would like to work with us, please reach out to us if you are local to the state of Tennessee. And if not, we encourage you to reach out to someone local to you. So today we are going to be talking about how to move through conflict with your therapist, and I'm super excited for today's episode. Welcome back, Lauren.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back. It feels so good.
It is just a true joy to have you back. I've missed you.
I know. I've really missed doing this with you a lot. It's been important for me to take some time off. I haven't, my bandwidth has been a little smaller these days.
I can't imagine why.
But yeah, I'm feeling a bit better, and I'm excited to jump back into this with you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Lauren is expecting a little baby girl in early September.
Early September, yeah. So
just super excited for you.
Growing away. Yeah. So
sweet. We're actually celebrating her, another gal in our practice, and then another gal who's getting married in June. So we've got a
big celebration coming up. It'll be fun.
Yeah, fun things happening. So this felt important to talk about. Just because we know that it happens. So conflict with your therapist.
Yeah.
Tell me what your thoughts are on the title of this episode.
Yeah. So, the first thing that comes to my mind is an experience I have had with my therapist. I've been working with my therapist for quite a while now, and so she's been with me through a lot of different seasons of singleness and grad school and living at home, and then getting married and having my first baby and now having my second. And so she's just been with me through a lot. And I just think of an experience I had with her where I felt like she missed me. And I actually didn't say anything to her about it. And I sometimes, especially now that we're talking about this, it makes me think back to that, and it makes me kind of reflect on why didn't I say something? What was that about for me? And thinking about, there were some feelings I had of, okay, if she doesn't quite understand me, maybe I should just find someone else. And I can imagine if I, as the client, that is maybe something that our clients or current clients of any practice perhaps sometimes experience. And so just putting myself in those shoes, and then the purpose of this episode is to talk through what it looks like and what it can look like to effectively address something like that and work through a rupture, work through something with that person that you're, doing this hard work with, and not feel like, well, I just have to go to someone else because this is too hard or this is too painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're saying you feel like your therapist missed you, first of all, I'm sorry that happened. And it's an inevitable part of both being a client and being the therapist.
Totally. One, thank you for, your sympathy, but it's she didn't do it on purpose. Sure. The intent, of course, I think about us as therapists, our intention is never to misunderstand or hurt or harm, for that matter, we're going to, because we're human, right? And our hope is that we have helped our clients far enough along to then be able to lean into that. And so, yeah, it was a period in my life where I was living at home after college. I think I was in grad school. Gosh, it was a while ago. I think maybe I was in grad school, and I was just thinking through, like, okay, I want to move out soon. What does that look like for me? And there's grief in that because I really love living at home and I have such a great relationship with my parents, and just all of that, just kind of working through all of that. And she had made some suggestions around where I could, like, practice some independence, and I didn't feel like it was about me not being independent. I felt like it was about me feeling grief.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt the miss. And I look back and I wish I had shared that with her. I think that she would have really valued that, because I know I do and would so deeply value to hear that from my clients.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And so when Lauren's using this language of, like, a therapist missing us or missing you, perhaps, I mean, this is an all-encompassing term that can really mean a lot of different things, right? It can mean that maybe you didn't feel understood by your therapist, or maybe they provided an intervention too quickly when really you just needed space to, like, honor the grief or an emotion that was there, right? Maybe they interjected their recommendations too quickly before fully understanding the situation that you were in. So there's all sorts of ways that we can be missed by our therapists, and then in turn that we can miss the client, right? And like you said, we are human, and so when we hold this lens, no therapist is going to be perfect, right? And no therapist is going to fully understand their client 100% of the time. Now, can we get solid training and feedback and supervision and consultation and all the things to, like, improve our skill set? Absolutely.
Sure.
And I think that over the years, you and I would both say that we've honed in and really improved our skill set around being able to, like, really, like, lean in with a client and really fully understand their experience better, maybe than when we first started this work.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. I think what we do about it, both if we're the client, is important, and also if we're therapists. Like, this is something for you all to be aware of, you know, in your therapist, how they respond to you giving feedback about what they said or didn't say to you in that moment is important as well. So if you're the client, right, what would you recommend, Lauren? Like, would be something like you feel missed by your therapist, you feel misunderstood, you don't feel seen. What would you recommend our listeners do?
Well, the opposite of what I would just say something, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's not in that session. Maybe it's the next session or a couple sessions after, because it can take a lot of courage and bravery to do that. I feel like the closer we are in relationship with someone, sometimes it can feel like, in ways, the riskier it can be to confront something because of fear of rupture, or fear of disappointing, or fear of hurting feelings, or whatever. Now, that's certainly not always the case, but it can feel a little bit harder to do sometimes, especially maybe if in a relationship, like, for example, mine with my therapist, I hadn't ever experienced something like that with her before. We hadn't never had conflict before, so I wasn't sure what it was going to be like or feel like, and I am a people pleaser by nature, and so that was just, like, really showing up for me. So I wish I had had a little bit more insight around that, and I wish I had said something. And so my encouragement would be, you don't have to address it right then. Like, that it's okay if it feels like I don't know how to do this right now, or I don't know what to say right now.
Sure.
Maybe sitting with it, for a week or whatnot to figure out, the best way that you want to bring it up. But yeah, say something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think this is a skill that goes beyond, like, addressing conflict with your therapist, right? We talk a lot about some of the decisions that we make here at Anchored.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's regarding, our staff or client concerns that may arise, unless it's like an immediate concern or something that needs somebody's safety is at risk, we really try to sit with big decisions or conversations. And I think there's a lot of rich insight and wisdom that can come from that place. I tend to be someone that likes to make decisions quickly. And so I know that that's a muscle that I've had to flex. And so if that's you listening today, I have a lot of deep empathy and compassion for you. But yeah, I think sitting with it and acknowledging like, okay, what about my therapist? Like, what about this experience didn't land well for me? What is bothering me right now? What would I like to communicate to them about what I might need moving forward? All of those questions I think can be really valuable. And then from the therapist perspective, it's also really important for us to have humility when our clients have the courage and bravery to speak up about their experiences with us. So I think it's also important for us on the show today to talk about what red flags might be in a therapist.
Oh, totally.
Based on how they respond to a client bringing a concern to them.
Totally. Because the hope is, as the therapist, when you are getting feedback or a client is sharing, I felt missed last session, that the therapist is taking that in and utilizing that information to better conceptualize what's going on for the client, right? Because if you're missing something for the client, you're not going to conceptualize it in a way that is like therapeutically beneficial for their treatment plan, right?
Yep.
And so, from the therapist, end, the hope is that is the posture, and then the humility piece in feeling like you get something wrong. That doesn't always feel good. And if you're like the expert in the room, right, in terms of like the therapeutic piece of things, then that can feel hard sometimes. And that's happened to me. I mean, I've had clients before come in and tell me that they feel like I didn't understand them in the previous session. And I've noticed, I think this is just areas where I've grown as a therapist, just doing it for longer and being able to regulate my own self, more effectively in the moment is, I think initially a natural human instinct is to want to go into defensive mode, right? And I think that's the case whether it's a therapist-client relationship or just any relationship, right? But when we can slow ourselves down and give or ask ourselves to really listen to what the other person is saying and really try and embody their experience, it kind of naturally leads to a place of humility and a place of like, okay, I can understand that. I can see that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so sorry. That was not my intent. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you told me. I'm so glad you feel safe to tell me.
Yeah.
That speaks to me just like the value of our relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so an appropriate apology, a timely apology. And, when we apologize, I think, I'm sorry, right? It's very different than like leaning in and like being fully embodied with the apology, right? Because we know when someone really means their apology versus when they don't.
Yeah.
That's another green flag, I think, to look for. I mean, if we circle back to that red flag piece, and I, like Lauren said, I do think, it's normal for us to be like, ooh, that didn't feel good. Skilled clinicians, though, have the ability to recognize the and to regulate themselves right after that happens versus...
And to not reactively get defensive.
Right, not reactively get defensive. I think a red flag, if you have shared something with a therapist that bothers you and they then become accusatory or they match your emotionality or they deny an experience that happened, those are all things for you just to kind of tuck away in your back pocket about the safety of that therapeutic relationship, right? Because then it's becoming more about them as the therapist versus you as the client.
Right.
Right? And what's really important to remember is like the therapeutic room is an opportunity for us to grow and learn and to take those skills and that growth into like society and into our lives as a whole. And so we are really doing our clients a disservice if we can't enter into that place of humility and apology and figuring out what we can learn from this experience together and collaborate together to do it differently next time, right? Those are all the rich benefits of going through a situation like this. And if your therapist can't do that with you, then it might be time to move on. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I have a friend who has shared with me just some of her experience with her current therapist, and I don't know how long she's been working with her, maybe a year. And, you know, maybe she sees her every 3 to 4 weeks. Anyway, she's just expressed to me just some concern she has, not necessarily with any particular conflict or rupture, but just with like, I don't feel like my therapist is really, she doesn't really show a lot of humanness with me. Like I don't think this person has ever disclosed a single thing about herself to my friend, which is obviously the therapist's prerogative, right? I think we all have a different kind of comfortability as a therapist with disclosure. And disclosure can certainly be therapeutically helpful and appropriate in helping the client feel like they're not alone or feel seen or all the things, right? So anyways, my friend was just telling me how she, you know, she's been working with her for a year. It's helpful to go and just process things, but she just doesn't feel it's just, she doesn't feel super connected. And I encouraged my friend to share this with her, to like share with her, like, hey, I don't know anything about you, like, you know, whatever. And to just kind of see how the therapist responds. And obviously the therapist is allowed to hold the boundary around, I don't want to tell you anything about me, whatever. Right. But my encouragement to my friend was like, why not tell her? Right. And I could hear some hesitancy in her voice of like, oh, that will be uncomfortable. Yeah. But I think that's an example of a way we can like lean into our own, like the own awareness we're having around our experience in relationship with someone else, particularly in this, setting, a therapist. I don't know if she's had the conversation or not. I think she's still seeing the therapist, and that's fine, obviously. But that's just like another example that comes to mind that, it's about a friend. So
yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, I know Lauren and I both really want our clients to feel that each and every session they are getting what they need. Mm-hmm. And I know some practices will do like check-in after each and every session. We don't do that after every session. We have our office manager reach out after 3 sessions, or if somebody isn't scheduled, but we really want our clients to feel a sense of empowerment around their treatment. And we want them to feel that they are getting what they need from therapy in each and every session. And so if you're not, like your friend, right, it might be time to address that with your therapist. And what a beautiful opportunity, right? If your friend doesn't like the way the therapist responds, to maybe reevaluate, the therapist in and of itself and whether she's getting what she needs. Mm-hmm. Because that's where effective growth and healing and change happens, is when we are getting what we need as clients. And when we do have the opportunity to practice some of these like interpersonal relationship skills with our therapist. Mm-hmm. Because the reality is we have relationships with so many people beyond our therapist. And so how we really practice here is this idea that like this space in therapy is the foundation through which we can kind of launch, especially if we've been in relationships that have not been healthy prior to therapy. And so we've got to have that safety in the therapeutic space to be able to practice some of these skills and to be able to like use our voice when we do feel missed. Mm-hmm. So important.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that will improve the quality of our lives, like with our friendships, with our spouse, with our partner, like whoever it might be, when we can address conflict with our therapist too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting, because I think what we do as humans, it just shows up in the therapy room, right? Mm-hmm. Like whether we tend to like minimize that somebody missed us, or we dismiss it, or we like avoid the hard conversation, that's going to show up with clients and their therapists. Yeah. But then that next step of like what we do next, I think is really pivotal and important.
And noticing too, if there is like something that lands funny for you as the client, noticing what your initial kind of urges to do. Maybe it is avoid, or maybe it is like whatever. And chances are that maybe is how you show up in your relationships outside of the therapy room. So it's like, okay, cool. What a great opportunity for me to practice doing the opposite thing, and like hopefully the safest, the safest place, right? In our little therapy room bubble, right? And then gaining the confidence and empowerment to go do that outside of the room.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier.
Yeah. And my hope for you is that if you do, following this episode, if you do try to navigate this conversation with your therapist around something that they missed with you, that they would respond with humility and grace and tenderness for you. And if not, maybe it's time to reevaluate.
Yeah.
And you have permission to do that, and you are the expert on you, and we actually encourage you to evaluate that for yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
Any other thoughts how to handle conflict with your therapist?
Nothing is really coming to mind besides say something.
Speak up.
Speak up. Yeah.
That's so much of the work we do though
I
here
know.
is like supporting our clients and using their voices, and so I love that we're ending on that note. Lauren, do you want to provide homework or an affirmation for today's episode?
Yeah, I can do a little homework piece. I mean, we've said this already, but maybe if you are actively seeing a therapist, maybe just giving yourself permission to spend a little bit of time reflecting on, is there anything that has come up recently in the past that I didn't ever address with my therapist that I want to practice leaning into? And then maybe challenge yourself to do that. Or journal about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think an affirmation that stood out today is like, my voice is important and what I have to say matters, right? So whether that's within the therapeutic space, maybe you're not in therapy and you really just want to lean into that idea outside of therapy, I encourage you to do that. Truly such a gift to have you back today.
Thanks.
Yeah. I've had a couple people ask me about you and how you're doing, and so it's been sweet to let them know too. I know we had this scheduled that you were going to be back for a few episodes.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you all for listening to the Becoming Anchored podcast. We'll see you next time. Take good care.